Is Rabbi David Heber. Thank you, Rabbi Heber, for taking out time from the busy week.
Yep, I have the busiest week of the year. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone for joining with us today for this this webinar. Our webinars are usually held the last Wednesday of each month at noon, but everything is different this year. It's Man Ishtana Shana Hazos Mikol Hashanim. I want to mention that the Pesach products webinar that we had 2 weeks ago is available on our website, star-k.org/videos, all about new products and what needs a hechsher, what doesn't. You can also download on our website our Pesach guide, our app, the links to our app are available there. All the information is right there. There's a lot that's, this year is especially busy. If you want to call in, here's the phone number, 267-279-9000, 267-279-9000, and the PIN is 572-618-155. I think that the an incorrect PIN was given on the email, but this is the correct one. So the last time we had this, Rabbi Heber, was 13 years ago. So not everybody remembers what they did then, and some people people making Pesach now for the first time might have been kids back then, so they don't remember anything.
Absolutely, 13 years is long. It could actually go 20 years. Sometimes it will have it. It happened 1954 to 1974. It didn't happen.
Okay.
And when we were kids in '74, it was the first time it had happened since 1954, which was certainly before both of us were born. And it'll happen again in 4 years. So whatever you learn on this webinar, keep in mind for 2025. And then after that, it won't be happening for 20 years. So Mitzvah Shatayva in tough hey 2022. I'm sorry, 2045. It'll happen again. So there's a break between 2025 and 2045. So it's a unique. It's really fascinating because Purim on a Friday and Erev Pesach on a Shabbos have their own set of halachos, and it's so infrequent that when it happens, everybody wants to know what to do. And like the beauty of Yiddishkeit is that any little knach different means a whole sefer of halachos. Meaning we know how to celebrate Pesach. Obviously, many Sfarim have been written on it. You make one little change, and it's a Matzah Shabbos, and you have an Erev Pesach Shabbos, and now you need a whole new sefer to deal with the basic halachas that we deal with. Because chametz times bechor, eating chametz, burning chametz, as we'll talk about, you need a whole new siman Shulchan Aruch, which there is for such a special time.
Right. So, but we are hopeful that we will have, when Mashiach comes, we'll again be Mekadosh the Chodesh. We'll make the moons according to the exactly, according to the Riyah, what we see. So we could have the schedule will
sooner. It could be sooner, and it could be later. Technically, we try to the calendar does try to model what if we'd have Adam seeing the moon.
I see.
It's trying to model what would happen had there been Adam the way it was. So technically, 2045 with Mashiach we'll have also on a Sunday. Again, we don't know, but the only difference then is you're not going to know until 2 weeks in advance. So you'll have to those watching this webinar with Mashiach here will know that they're rushing to find quick information because you can't print anything fast enough because they didn't know until Rosh Chodesh.
We have to have two sets of halachas ready, depending on what day of the week it might come out on.
Exactly.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. I want to mention that we have a chat box on the lower right of our screen. If some people could chat with us, just let us know that you hear us and we're clear. We would appreciate it. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we will do our best to get to them. Okay, loud and clear. Very good. Thank you. Okay, thanks very much for joining. Let's start, Rabbi. Let's go in order, I think, in chronological order. Let's start with Thursday, this coming Thursday. That's in 2 days from now. What is different about that day this year?
Okay, so we have Thursday morning and we have Thursday night. Thursday morning we have the Tainis Bechor, which is an interesting, actually a very important point. The Tainis Bechor, of course, is the fast of the firstborn. The prevalent minhag is to attend the siyum. A Bechor doesn't eat or drink until he attends the siyum, and the siyum, once he partakes in the siyum, then he could eat for the rest of the day. Of course, as we all know, that's typically Erev Pesach. Erev Pesach on Shabbos this year. As we mentioned, Shabbos you're not allowed to fast, with the exception of Yom Kippur. So we need to move the Tainis back. Even though most Tanaisim you move ahead, there are two Tanaisim that you move back, 2 fast days. One is Tainis Esther on Shabbos. We move back. We can't move ahead because Sunday's Purim. And also here we can't move the fast ahead further later because it's Pesach. So we move it back. And it's actually very interesting because, and it's a little bit confusing because someone asked me a shaila about the fast and on Friday, and I right away, no. The fast is on Thursday. When Pesach is a Shabbos, which next year, Pesach will begin on a Shabbos. So then the fast is Erev Pesach Friday, when Pesach is a Shabbos, because it's Erev Pesach and we don't move it. But here, since it's Erev Pesach a Shabbos, once we're moving the fast, rather than have it on a Friday, which is not a Geshmak day to fast, it's moved back to Thursday. So the bottom line is that the Tainis Bechor takes place on Thursday this year, on really 2 days before the normal day. We're talking about Yud Beis Nisan, and not on Erev Pesach, and not on Friday either.
So usually people make a siyum so that they don't have to fast. This year, there's hundreds of people available to be able to make that siyum on Maseches Pesachim from learning the Daf Yomi.
Correct. Very convenient to have it right around Pesach, and not only that, it's a siyum of Pesachim. So the Hider mitzvah is to come into a yontif prepared, and those learned Daf Yomi for the last 4 months are coming into Pesach in a much more prepared way for all the various dinim that we had in Masechta Pesachim.
Okay, so that's the morning. Okay, so you make your siyum in the morning, or you're going to fast the whole day, whatever you're going to do, and then
it comes Thursday night. So Thursday night we do the Bdikas Chametz, and the only thing unique about that Bdikas Chametz is that it's technically a different day, because normally we do Orla Basar. It's the first Mishnah Pesachim, the evening of the 14th of Nisan. So if, let's say, Pesach is on a Tuesday, Monday is our Basar, is the 14th of Nisan. So in that case, Sunday night, the night before the Seder, would be the Bdikas Chametz, Leil Orla Basar, Leil Yodalad. This year, Leil Yodalad is on Friday night. We obviously cannot make the Bdikas Chametz, so the Bdika is rolled back 24 hours, and it takes place on Thursday night, or Yud Gimel, the night of Yud Gimel Nisan. Other than the time, the Bdikas Chametz is the exact same. You'll do the regular Bdika. Following the Bdika, you'll make the regular Kol Chamira that's recited following a regular Bdikas Chametz.
Okay, so everything's the same. You make that's fine. Okay, then so Thursday night, Friday morning, then okay, it gets a little more busy.
Right, Friday's where it's tricky. Actually, you use the word busy because actually this year Friday morning will be a touch less busier than a regular Erev Pesach morning, because in a regular Erev Pesach morning you're finishing the last bite of chametz, and then you're running to burn the chametz, and you're really getting ready for the Seder totally. The table set, everything's ready. This year, it's I would say you'll be busier. Your mind will be busier trying to calculate what needs to be done. So let's go through the morning here. The Isser of Achilas Chametz technically does not apply until the morning of Shabbos morning, which we'll talk about when we get to Shabbos. So in theory, you could continue eating chametz until Shabbos morning, and you really can with certain conditions. However, what about, as we know, we have to burn the chametz. Shabbos morning, you can't burn the chametz. You're not allowed to start a fire. You're not allowed to burn anything on Shabbos. So we burn the chametz on Friday. Now, in theory, you could really, you technically, Chazal could have said, listen, you have all day Friday to burn the chametz. You really have till Shabbos, okay? You can't burn on Shabbos. So you have till lich benching, in theory, to burn the chametz. But Chazal, in the infinite wisdom, said, no, we don't want to do that, because if you burn your chametz at 5 o'clock Friday afternoon or 4 o'clock Friday afternoon, next year you're going to come and you can say, well, last year I burnt my chametz on Erev Pesach in the afternoon, so I'll do it again. And obviously that would be a colossal error, because the reason why last year, i.e. 2021, Tavshin Pei Aleph, you burnt the chametz Friday afternoon, was because it wasn't Erev Pesach. Erev Pesach was the next morning. Right. And this year, let's say next year, 2022, Tavshin Pei Beis, 1 second, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Erev Pesach, that's already this man of beer. You already missed the boat. It's already it's already osir. You past this man. It's going to be also, you got to buy your run into a slew of problems. You're over on possessing the chametz. So it's a major, major error. So to avoid that error, Chazal said, no, this Friday is no different than any Erev Pesach. And just like every Erev Pesach, there's what's called a Soif Zman Bir Chametz. So too, we're going to create a Lechatchila Soif Zman Bir Chametz for Friday morning, which is whatever time posted. We have our Pesach guide. We'll tell you many cities in the United States, the latest time for Bir Chametz. In Baltimore, it happens to be 11:33. In Cincinnati, it's going to be a little bit later. In Boston, it's going to be a little bit earlier. Whatever time it is, that is the Soif Zman Bir, and therefore you want to rid yourself of the chametz, with the exception of what you need for Shabbos. More on that later. You want to rid yourself of chametz, and you want to burn your chametz by the Soif Zman Bir chametz, which again in Baltimore is 11:33 in the morning. The other difference is at the end of the burning, you usually say your kol chamira the second time, and that's your final kol chamira, which is saying this chazite and le chazite, what I see and what I don't see. But here, you're not going to say any kol chamira, because tucked away, following your burning, is a stash of chametz waiting to be consumed on Shabbos.
So Richard is asking, I think you already answered the question, do you need to burn the chametz Friday morning by a certain time? And the answer is yes, you burn it by what would have been the regular time if it was Erev Pesach. I mean, I guess the difference could be if you forgot. Let's say you didn't realize what time it was, and you woke up late, and you realize a little bit later. So then you just go burn the chametz at that time, I suppose.
Or you mean like the guy who once called me at 2:00 in the afternoon Erev Pesach and said he forgot to sell his chametz.
Oh no!
Said, oh, you forgot to. Oh no! So I was hoping, some people, they sell their chametz, but they don't sell real chametz. So like, okay, you have you have your ketchup and this, which we could maybe deal with. Is it real chametz? Not chametz? Is it only kidneys? He said, I have a freezer full of bread and bagels.
Oh no! Okay.
He not only sold real chametz, he sold real chametz.
Oh boy!
So that was not so simple. He had to find the dumpster and dump it all out, and literally take it all out of his freezer and dump it. But if it would happen this year, technically, it would be mutar b'hana. He would have to find a guy to sell it to. We'd have to maybe, I don't know what I would do, but at least he wouldn't be over. And he saw him other than neglecting the Techanas Chazal to burn the chametz earlier.
I see. Okay. So let's talk about that chametz that you leave out for Shabbos. What are you putting away? What are you leaving out?
Okay, so ideally, I mean, again, in theory, I'll tell you in theory, and I'll tell you ideally. In theory, if a person wanted to leave out chametz for whatever they want, they want to, they want to serve Cheerios Shabbos morning, and they want to eat granola bars Friday afternoon. In theory, that would be okay to do that. Practically, you don't want to leave that kind of chametz out, because, like, why are you going to, you just clean your house for Pesach? You're going to feed your child Cheerios. It's complicated. You also get into issues of, Rabbi Heinemann's opinion is anything you leave out was not sold to the guy. Now, this is a big discussion amongst the Paiskim exactly how to deal with the situation. But Pashas, you want to minimize this whole issue with leftovers to avoid any shilas that you're getting into, and therefore you don't want to do that. You want to leave over, but what you could do is, first of all, before we get to what you left over, you've sold your chametz, everything's done. You've put aside chametz for Shabbos, which I'll explain in a minute. But let's say you went to a store Friday afternoon and you wanted to buy a granola bar or a donut and eat it and finish it and throw the wrapper by the store into the garbage can. Nothing wrong with that. In other words, you sold your chametz, it's gone. You've now purchased a chametz item and you're eating it. No problem. Just make sure you get rid of any type of leftover that you might have, and just you technically mafker it. You throw it out in the garbage over there. But that's if you're hungry Friday afternoon for a non-kosher Pesach item. But What you do need is you need Suda Shabbos. The prevalent minig is Shabbos to eat. Well, I mean, this Shabbos I'm talking about is to eat challah, or rolls, or hamaitzi. In other words, you take bread, you want lecha mishnah, and now you need lecha mishnah, you need hamaitzi. The halacha is a person should lechatchila eat a kabeh of a yoser by Suda Shabbos. Kabeh is the size of an egg. It's 2 kazesim, roughly going to be in the 70, let's say 76 cubic centimeters, whatever regular 2 kazesim are. And that's what you want to eat for Suda Shabbos. You at least have to eat a kazayas. You have a meal Friday night. You have a meal Shabbos morning. So you want to put aside what you need for each of those sudas. We could talk about practically what to do, but that's basically what you want to put aside for the sudas.
Okay, so you're putting that that bread aside Friday morning. So basically, what you're trying to say is, even though technically you could leave some other things out, you're really just putting everything away Friday morning, except for those rolls that you're going to use for the Shabbos meals.
That's correct.
And if you want to go out for some chametz, that's okay. Go out any chametz.
Correct. Right.
Right. Practically speaking. Okay. Usher is asking, Baltimore is really 11:33 and not 12:10.
Okay, that's a great question. I'm glad someone asked that question. Maybe we could spend the rest of the webinar on this topic, because it's an old favorite. The answer is like this: there are 2 base opinions, and then there's several ways how to determine one of the opinions, and that's as follows. Just to make it very brief, there's a well-known.
I'll give you 30 seconds.
No, 30 seconds not enough time. I need 30 seconds shows money ice in Alaska for that answer, right? Really, I'll make it very simple, and that is there are 2 ways to calculate incremental times of the day, which are Seif Zman Kriya Shema, Seif Zman Tefillah. One way is to go sunrise to sunset and divide the day into 12 parts. That is the Goin, that's the Rav Shulchan Aruch. That comes out of more lenient opinion when it comes to these times. And when he's writing 12:10, Usher, he's probably referring to the Goin's time. The Magen Avram held that you go from dawn until Tzeitzei Kachavim, which dawn is when there's crack of dawn in the morning, which means your day is beginning much earlier. It's beginning at dawn. So now your end of your 5th hour of the day, or 4th hour of the day for eating, 5th hour of the day for burning is going to be earlier, because you got a head start. Your day, instead of beginning when the sun came up, right? It's today the sun came up in Baltimore, let's say at roughly 7 a.m., let's say. Well, dawn was at 5:45 roughly. So you're starting your day at 5:45 or 7 o'clock. So the Mishabura brings down that since chametz is deraisa, even though these times are drabanan, but the whole concept, one should be machmir like the Magen Avram, and therefore you get a head start. Now the hours are longer, but you get an earlier time, and therefore typically the Magen Avram's time is earlier than that of the Goin. And then there's how do you calculate dawn and how do you calculate Tzeitzei Kachavim at the end of the day. That's also a discussion, and that's why even in the Magen Avram you can have a variance of opinion. So Rabbi Heinemann gave us the formula which Magen Avram he wants to use for this calculation, and based on that, it's not 72 to 72. It's not 72 minutes before sunrise, 72 sunset. That's Reb Henkin and in the as his Torah Luach. But we take a little bit of a different way of calculating the day, and therefore we end up with this time.
Okay, so Richard's asking, what if is he going to work on Friday and he can't get rid of his chametz early in the morning? What about 1 o'clock, 12:30?
I mean, I would say he should do what he would do if it would be Erev Pesach. In other words, what if, like any other year where it's Erev Pesach, people go to work, they just burn it before they go to work. Uh-huh. And if he wants to take chametz to work, again, you're burning it, and you take your little, lunch, lunch with you to work, and then you finish it off and shine. Get rid of anything you don't have. You're not going to eat.
What time is chametz burning in New York, Rabbi Heber? Without looking it up.
Chametz burning in New York? I don't know all these times by heart.
Okay.
I'll look it up though.
We caught you. I'm
going to guess it's a few minutes early. Let me take a guess. I'm going to guess it's about 10:22, but let's see if I'm right.
Okay, they want to talk about egg matzah. We'll get there. I think we'll get there soon enough.
Okay, New York. Muncie, 1022.
Oh,
New
very
York,
good.
1022.
Okay, you got it. Okay,
A lucky guess. I won the lottery on those numbers, right?
It's a very educated guess. Okay, so we finished. Okay, so we put away everything except for the chametz that we want to use on Friday night and Shabbos. We want to. Rabbi Heber, could you move your mic a little bit away from the speakers?
Further from me? Further away?
Further from your speakers, because we're getting some echo.
Oh, I got it. Yep, no problem.
Okay, so I want to remind people that they probably don't want to use regular challah, which is very crummy. Would you agree with that? Usually people are using pita or bagels or something.
Practically right. Practically speaking, first of all, you want to use fresh rolls. Again, this is not halacha, but this is practical. People don't like crumbs, etc. And you want to avoid crumbs. Ideally, you should use fresh rolls, not frozen, because when you take things out of the freezer, they crumb a little bit easier. Fresh rolls, fresh pita. And obviously, the issue at hand is you're not allowed to eat matzah on Erev Pesach, right? So that's out. That leaves you with an option of chametz as far as rolls. And therefore, correct, pita is a little bit big, though. It's a little bit hard to calculate a kazayas on a pita. It's flat, and it's got hollow in the middle. But again, it certainly works.
Rabbi Heber, you keep saying kazayas. Isn't it a kabeya, two kazayas, because you washed with a bracha?
Correct. Well, you're right. Suda Shalom, I'll go through the numbers here. There are several numbers dealing with. Suda Shabbos l'chatchila is a kabeya v'yaiser, more than a kabeya, which is two kazaysim. To make al tesadayim, you need a kabeya.
Right.
To be yaitzer Suda Shabbos, b'di'evet at the minimum, and to bench as a minimum, you need a kazayis. So if somebody can't eat a kabeya, then they would be yaitzer with a kazayis. But I just use kazayis by rote. But you're correct. I mean, say the kabeya. Yes. The other thing is kazayis has to be eaten within kedechlis pras, which is a 2 to 4 minute, ideally 2 minutes. Right. But you have a 4 minute. That's only the first kazayis. Second kazayis, you can. How
much of a, let's say in Baltimore we have the Goldberg's bagels store. How much of a bagel of that is considered a kazayis?
That's a good question. I'm going to guess a Goldberg bagel. I'm going to guess a quarter of a bagel is going to be a kazayis. Because a quarter, you're going to have a good golf ball. A quarter of
half a bagel would be a kabeya.
Yeah, probably more than a kabeya, but more than enough. Half a
but
bagel.
Those are pretty big bagels.
Yeah. In other words, if you want to exactly, again, the simplest way is you pull it apart and give it out. I think the simplest way, and there are two different facilities here that have shown me their rolls, and what they want to do is they want to create a kabeya v'yaiser roll. And the idea of that is there are two different sizes of rolls you might want to get. The kabeya v'yaiser roll would be is you have your roll. Now you need a second roll. So the second roll you make. Here's what I think I'm going to do is, let's say I have 7 people at my table, l'mashal, right? And now I'm going to have 8 rolls. So if you have 8 kabeya rolls, I'm going to make hamaitzi on mine, and then I'll hand off the roll to the next person, who will make his hamaitzi, his hamaitzi, his hamaitzi. At the end, there's going to be an extra roll. So someone's got to eat 2 of those, or carefully split it up, or save it for the next morning, right? And then in the morning, you'll deal with that extra roll.
I don't understand. Why do you have an extra roll? Why don't you give out the one that you use for lechem mishnah?
Yeah, I don't want to break up. If I don't want to start handing out, in other words, normally you cut it up, you get a whole slew of crumbs. I'm avoiding the crumbs. You could do that, but if I make
I'm sorry, I don't understand the numbers. If you had 7 rolls, couldn't that cover 7 people? Why do you need 8 rolls?
The last guy is going to only have 1 left. He needs 2.
Oh, everybody's making hamotzi on their own roll.
Right. Let's say everyone makes hamotzi on their own roll.
I see. Okay.
Option two is to have 8 rolls for 7 people, and then I make hamotzi for everybody, like I do every Shabbos, and then I take 1 roll and just cut it into 8 pieces, hand it out to everybody. They eat from Halachos Mishnah, and then they eat that roll.
Why don't you just have 7 rolls, make hamotzi on all of them, and give everybody 1?
That's a good question. When you have roll number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is that part of Halachos Mishnah?
Why not?
I guess it is. Didn't think of that.
We'll think about that. We'll get back to you on that one.
Too. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
We'll think about that.
I would assume you're right. I just never did it.
Okay, so let's go back to we didn't really finish Friday yet. What else do you have to do on Friday to get ready for Shabbos? What do you need to do?
Okay, so you also Friday you want to. There's certain things that you would do normally on Erev Pesach that you have to do now, and even more than that, because there's certain things that are mutter on Yom Tov that might be prohibited on Shabbos, like cooking, right? So normally you would cook on Erev Pesach for Yom Tov. Here, I mean, in theory, Motzei Shabbos you could start cooking from scratch, but that's not really practical. You're going to start, you want to sit down to the Seder. So what most people are going to do is they're going to have items that are ready made and it'll be in the fridge or the freezer, so that Motzei Shabbos, i.e. Leil, Seder, Aleph, they're able to pull it out. So the cooking process of what you want to prepare, all of that needs to be done on Friday, so that Motzei Shabbos, you're ready to go. You want to
preparing the egg and the
correct and the zroya
already,
especially because you're not eating the zroya really.
Right.
So you're going to get into a problem of cooking. You only have to cook something you're eating. So it's a symbolic item. So it's not so pashut. I mean, some people like to eat it the next day, but you're getting into problems. The zroya, the beya, right, the egg, you ideally want to roast before Yom Tov. You want to check the lettuce. That's very important. Normally, if you're buying pre-checked romaine lettuce, if you're using romaine lettuce for maror, you either want to buy the pre-checked star K or other good hechsher. But if you're checking it yourself, that's a process you don't want to do on Shabbos or Yom Tov, and therefore you want to check on Friday for that. There's also a big discussion about salt water. If you don't have a whole lot of salt, it's not such a problem of
making it on Yom Tov.
Right, correct. Or someone sent me a picture of Star K certified salt water. Right.
I thought that was a joke. Is it real?
I saw a picture of it. That goes together with the 10 pieces, the 10-piece packet, right? Of having 10 pieces, you know the joke they tell over where someone went into the bookstore with a straight face, and he said, "Do you sell pre chametz? 10 pieces and the feather and the candle? You sell the 10 pieces already broken up?" They said, "Sure, we have it." The guy says, "I want to buy organic for the 10 pieces or whole wheat."
Right. Okay, so all right, you're preparing everything on Erev Shabbos. I saw one practical idea that when you set your table Friday afternoon for Shabbos, don't put your you have probably some disposable tablecloth on top there so you can throw everything out. If there's crumbs there, you don't want to have them, or you want to shake out the tablecloth, whatever you want to do. Don't put your candelabra in the middle of the table on top of your tablecloth, because then you're going to be stuck not being able to clean off your tablecloth. Either if you have a plastic one, just to shake it, to throw it out, or to shake it out outside, whatever you're going to do. You want to get rid of those crumbs.
Right, correct. A lot of people are going to eat outside, which we'll get to that issue in a moment.
Okay.
But there's a discussion also. It's the salt water really depends how much salt you put in. About Yom Tov to prepare that. Actually, excuse me, it's no different this year because you can't prepare it on Shabbos. That's when Friday night is Pesach. You prepare the salt water Friday night. Here it's going to be Yom Tov anyway, so it's no different than, by the time you prepare the salt water, it's going to be Yom Tov. The issue also is the chrein, of grinding chrein or not. This is a discussion amongst the Paiskim because toichein is prohibited on Shabbos. You're not allowed to grind chrein on Shabbos. On Yom Tov, so if something is going to lose its pungency, so then one could grind it. So if you want really strong chrein, it may be mutter. And when in question, you could do it with a shinoi, which means you grind it. Obviously not with an electric grinder, with in a way a ribeyes and so on Yom Tov, and then you get into shilas of is a ribeyes and considered the chayil or not. So some people will, to avoid, again, their pais will give you aids how to deal with this. But some may find it, rather than get into any potential shilas, they're just going to prepare the chrein on Friday.
So you're saying this basically is two options. One is to prepare the if you're making real chrein, prepare it before Shabbos and cover it and try to keep it fresh.
Sure.
The other is to do it on Motzei Shabbos, on Yom Tov itself, and do it with a little bit of a shinui.
If necessary, some paiskim you would need some shinui, like you put it onto paper and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Fine. What else do we need to know about Friday?
It's different than most Erev Pesach because you're preparing. Normal Erev Pesach another very important point. Very important point. Erev Pesach normally at Chatzais Hayom, the day at Chatzais you now take a haircut. You now have to do malacha like Chalamayid. Most malacha from Chalamayid is prohibited from Chatzais and on. So 1 o'clock, you can't clip your nails anymore. You can't take a haircut. You're not supposed to.
That's a regular year.
A regular year. This year, because Erev Pesach is Shabbos, Friday after Chatzos is Friday Yud Gimel. There are no Erev Pesach prohibitions, so you could trim your beard, shave, and whatever is necessary. It's not a problem. Those who keep the first two interesting Zmanim notes, not Zmanim, but one is that those who keep the first Sefira will have the longest possible beard, come like Baimer. Because you're actually, the last shave you could take is before Lichtzin on Yud Gimel. And you got to go all the way to Lamed Gimel in the morning, which is basically almost 5 complete weeks because your last shave is Friday afternoon and you can't shave till Friday morning under normal circumstances 5 weeks later. You never have that long. In fact, sometimes like Boyman is a Sunday, you get the bonus, you get the Friday. Last year, Rosh Chodesh was Thursday, was Friday, Shabbos, you're allowed to shave Friday. So a few little shortcuts here and there. Here, not only is it not a shortcut, you got to shave a day early, right? That's one interesting thing. The other one I want to point out, I didn't see this anywhere written up, and it's a fascinating halacha in Hilchos Avelos. It's a mishnah in Masechta Cotton that says that lists certain people who are allowed to take a haircut on Chalamayid, right? Someone who was, come Beis Asurim, came out, was let out of incarceration, and etc. One example is someone that got it from Avelis, could shave Chalamayid. And the question is, who's that person? Because think about it, if a person ended Shiva on Yontif, that means they're still in Shleishim Chalamayid, so they can't get a haircut. And Elamai, a person was, let's say, in Shiva, in Nisan, beginning of Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and now they're in Shleishim this week. So Yontif terminates the Shleishim. When Yontif terminates the Shleishim, they're allowed to get a haircut and shave. I'm talking about now, not for a parent. A parent, you got to wait. Let's say a sibling, for example. So once Shleishim ends, they can get a haircut. If Yontif terminates the Shleishim, then they can get a haircut l'chvay Yontif because Shleishim is ending that night. So who is this person, right? Who is this person? So a very fascinating case, and it could have potentially happened this week. And that is if someone's Levaya, Leolenu, was on Sunday, and let's say he had brothers, let's say, who are now in Shiva right now. Okay, their Shiva is going to be with Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. They technically finish Shiva Shabbos morning. And then Shabbos they're in Shleishim, and now Yontif, Motzei Shabbos, terminates the Shleishim. So they finish Shleishim. Now they can't get a haircut on Friday, l'chvay Yontif, because they're in the middle of Shiva.
Right.
But yet comes Cholamayid, and they're already done with Shleishim.
So they can then take a haircut.
Correct. And that is the only case. And it only happens when Pesach's on a Sunday of this case. So because never on a Sunday, they'll never have it.
Let's take some of the questions there, Rabbi Heber. There's some questions about what the times are. So we have the charts on our website. You can take a look there. I want to mention that in a few minutes before the end, we're going to put up, we have some written documentation. Some of the things Rabbi Heber is talking about, he wrote about in our Pesach guide. We'll give you that so you can have that. We found very interesting from 1950. It was also Erev Pesach Shechal b'Shabbos, and Rabbi Breuer Zatzal wrote a document for the Breuer community, the Yeki community, and we have a copy of that. It's interesting to see what he writes over there. I have no idea that 1950 was Erev Pesach. I only know because I see the date. I assume because I see the date on the pamphlet. And we have
you really needed it because it hadn't happened before that since 1930. So people really didn't know what to do.
Right. Okay. And Simcha's asking, eating the rolls in a different room, and how do you work out? So let's talk about that. Let's talk about going to the Friday night Suda. If I'm only having The only thing I have is my that's chametz is going to be my rolls or my bagels or my pita. How am I going to make kiddush and then do the whole suda?
Okay, so this way it's a Friday night and Shabbos morning.
Right.
And once we're at the topic, we'll just talk about the end of Shabbos morning, and then we'll cover a little of all that, the sudas on Shabbos, if you're using rolls. So let's assume for a moment you want to eat outside, like a lot of people are going to want to do. I think actually the weather's supposed to be nice Friday night and Shabbos morning, at least here. So what do? So you run into a brachas question. What you're going to do is you're going to make a maitzis. We spoke about lechem mishnah, how to take care of that. Everybody eats. Now you go inside, because remember, everybody's meal is going to be kosher Pesach, because the actual suda, other than the hamaitzi, the rest of the meal is going to be a kosher Pesach, and you're going to be sitting on your Pesach table with kosher Pesach items. So what you do is people go outside just because it's a little bit less nerve-wracking to go outside. Now you make hamaitzi, then you make kiddush outside. So you can't make kiddush by the Pesach table, go outside, make hamaitzi, and come back in, because we have a concept known as kiddush makom suda, which means when you make kiddush, it has to be where the suda is. So what you want to do is you want to take your becher outside with the wine or grape juice, and you're going to make kiddush, and immediately following that, you're going to make hamaitzi, and you're going to consume, as we spoke about, the proper amounts. Now you're in the middle of suda. Now you're going to head back into the house, and you're going to finish your suda. So now you're going to have Friday night. You have your soup, your fish, whatever you're eating. And Shabbos morning, you have your cholent and so on. And then you're going to bench. Now, the shot is where to bench.
What kind of cholent are you having?
Kosher Pesach. No barley. Everything's kosher Pesach. Regular kosher Pesach. By the way, practical eitzah for your crock pot. Many people like to use a crock pot. We have a special kosher Pesach crock pot. You cannot kosher a crock pot. So you want a crock pot, you need to have a kosher Pesach one. Obviously, you could make it on. You can have if you don't want a special crock pot, you can make your cholent for Pesach on the stove, if you like. But let's say we have a kosher Pesach crock pot, but people are being nervous to keep it running. It comes 1 o'clock, even maybe some people 11 o'clock in the morning, 10:30. They'll be done with the cholent. Now that crock pot's going to run for 2.5 days until Monday night, because you can't unplug it. Very simple eitzah. This is not a halacha, but this is a practical eitzah within halacha, and that is if you get a timer. Someone maybe want a heavy-duty timer. You'll ask your electrician, but you want the one with the pins. The green pin is on, the red pin is off. Let's say what you do is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday, you put 2 pins in. You put a 2 p.m. red pin and a 3 p.m. green pin. You spin the dial to 4 p.m. Okay, now it's on because it clicked on at 3 p.m. and it's 4 p.m. You plug it in, you plug in everything, and now it's on. You pull out the green pin, and now all you have is a red pin in the dial, which is off. So now it's Friday afternoon, 4 p.m. It's going to spin around. Comes 2 p.m. on Shabbos, it's going to trip off, right? It's going to trip off, and now you have your crock pot off. You don't need it anymore. By you ate the cholent already. Hopefully by 2 p.m. you ate your cholent, and now the crock pot's off for the rest of Yom Tov. The same thing the last days. Shvi Pesach, Shabbos, Sunday. You have the same thing. Set it in that way, and then it's off. Anyway, as far as benching, let's go back to the Suda. You ate the Suda, I might say outside. I think that this Chulka day is here, but I think it's Muhurudik to go back out to recite Birchas Hamazon, where you washed. There are all sorts of tshuvas where if you see into the place, it's a porch where you could see in, the windows, the shades are open, and you could see into where you're eating. It's all shikol one makam, and therefore you could bench in that place as well, where you actually ate your Suda. So again, there are poskim that say you can bench also inside. Akol kafi haminig, one should estimate hara where it plays. But certainly, if you go out to the original place, that's certainly, holidays. That's the right makam to say Birchas Hamazon, because that's based on halacha of you got a bench where you ate. So and here you ate your pas in outdoors, and therefore you're going to you want to bench there. Now on Shabbos morning, you've now finished your rolls, right? You're now finished your rolls, and now you want to now, that's it. In other words, it's 10:25. You finish your rolls, and now you want to flush any crumbs down the toilet, throw away your, any plates that you use. If you put it on tissues, you can maybe flush tissues down the toilet as well. But if you're afraid to clog up things, just the plates and the tissues, you just put the garbage. If you could dispose it outside, that's better. And now you then at that point would recite your Kol Chamira at that point.
Okay, so you're assuming that you have nothing, no crumb. All you have is some crumbs from the bread that you were using.
Correct.
Right. So you want to get that out of your possessions, either down the toilet or spread it in the wind or something like that, right?
Correct.
Is that right? Okay. A number of people mentioned the egg matzah idea, Rabbi Heber. We have to talk about that. There are poskim who say that you can use egg matzah for the Suda instead of bread.
Correct. But there was one more thing I wanted to mention. First of all, right, you're gonna wash. Of course, you're gonna wash inside, and then you're gonna make your you're gonna make your hamaitzi outside, right? You're gonna make your hamaitzi. You make altas adoyim. You wash indoors, right? Let's say you don't have an outdoor wash. You're gonna wash inside.
That's why I assume
you're gonna make your hamaitzi outside. There is another issue, by the way, of and of course, speak to your Rav exactly where to you can make hamaitzi after your hands are dry. You're obviously you're gonna make your hamaitzi outside. The other issue is shal shudas. I don't know if you want to correct egg matzah or shal shudas first.
Well, let's talk about the egg matzah idea.
Fine, sure. So egg matzah is a big discussion in the Paiskim, right? A big discussion. Egg matzah, of course, what are egg matzahs? Egg matzah matzah shira. Our minig is not to eat them after the zman achilas chametz, which means once 10:33 rolls around, you can't eat the egg matzahs. However, they're not chametz in that you don't have the issue of bali ra bali matzah, which means you're allowed to own them on Pesach itself. When we say you can't eat them, the elderly or children are allowed to eat egg matzahs on Pesach.
Well, children who need it.
Or children who need it. There's not a lot available. Right. If I just want to make a parenthetical statement here, in general, there are products in the market. There's egg matzah products that kids eat. They have now spin-offs of egg matzahs, like chocolate egg matzahs, right? Which also only children and chaylim can eat it. I always wondered that. It was years ago where there was not a whole lot to eat, and all you could give a kid was egg matzah, and then you want to give him some sort of treat. So then you gave him egg matzah with chocolate on it. Today, there are hundreds of products that are dozens of products that are kid-friendly. Kids have what to eat. Base staple products, an array of matzah meal products for those weak brooks. Tons of products that are out there. I don't understand the need anymore for a sweetened egg matzah product. Oh, those are for chaylim. I mean, right, a chaylim needs to eat an egg matzah if he wants to eat something soft that's filling and gives him the proper chamesh mina dagan that he needs. So that I understand. But now you want to chocolatize it or sweeten it for a chayla. Well, does a chayla need that? There's other options. Let him eat, matzah meal cake or potato starch cake. Plenty of that, or plenty of other products. I never understood Klar about that. That's just a little bit of a little talk radio discussion. That's number one. But let's
as long as you went on a tangent, I would say that Star K has egg matzah, a chocolate covered matzah that's made with real matzah.
That's correct.
Not with egg matzah. So that could be lechatchila for anybody if they. So that would be a great option. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right. No, and the Rav that Rav Heinemann, in other words, would never let a product like that because there's really no tzarech. Cotton has plenty other products for ktanim, plenty other products for chaylim. So I think this is an old minig that was necessary 65 years ago that kind of never fell by the wayside. That's kachnir lefian istaiti. Anyway, back to the egg matzah itself. Okay, so egg matzahs are, let's say you eat egg matzah right now. So you would make a mezainis on the egg matzah because it's matzah shira. It's not a regular bread. It's not a regular matzah. and therefore the bracha would be a bar min uzayis. However, if you're kaveh suda on something which is known as pasava bekisnin, then you make hamaitzi. There's a very nice article by Rabbi Rosen on this topic, defining what's a suda, defining what's pasava bekisnin, and as you see from the articles in the Torah, it's a complicated sugya. So the question now becomes, instead of using rolls, well, egg matzah solves the for those who are nervous to bring chametz in, to the porch, crumbs, etc. You burn all your chametz on Friday. It's all gone. The house is rid of chametz. Now you have egg matzahs. You take like a mishna of egg matzahs, and you make hamaitzi. So some are noyig to do that. There's a truth for a Maisha. Maisha said that that's okay to do that. There are chulkadeyas. Some say if you do it, you need to eat it b'makom suda, which means you have to eat it with a whole suda. You have to eat enough of the egg matzahs. You have to eat a lot of egg matzahs. I saw in the, from Mesivt Tresh Shalayim published a kuntras. They said if you're using egg matzahs, each person needs to eat 2 matzahs. That's I'm quoting. So there's teachers that say you got to eat a lot, or you need a suda with the matzahs, right? And then there's some that say you don't want to go this way because you get yourself into a brachas issue, and therefore just avoid it and go with the rolls, which are a more nervous method and a more potentially chametz issue, but it's a regular suda, it's hamaitzi, and everything is, you're eating hamaitzi that's chaladeis, and therefore just go that route.
Okay, so Star K and Rav Heinemann don't recommend the egg matzah solution.
That's correct. Rabbi Heinemann was not a fan of
Okay.
Now you are getting into Rabbi Heinemann had discussion of issues, and one can ask the Rav the concept of Maishach Mina Pas. You have to finish Pas. Many Paiskim hold at 10:33 you're done. Now go inside and finish the meal. Some say l'chadchila you're getting into another brachas issue because you can't eat bread anymore. So how do you pater the cholent at that point? Normally you can eat bread. This is a shaila one should ask the Paiskim. But again, it's a brachas. Erev Pesach is a brachas. Masechta brachas rolled into one day. And one can, not to mention another article we have in our book that talks about brachas on Pesach of an array of products. If you make matzah meal products, if you make potato starch products, you make a matzah brai. How big is it? It's fascinating. Pesach alone is a central place for hilchos brachas.
Okay, I just want to mention that this webinar is being recorded and will be posted on our website as soon as possible, star-k.org/videos. And again, we're here with Rabbi David Heber. I'm Tzvi Goldberg, your host of the webinars. And if you don't get your question answered, then please email us at info@star-k.org, or you can call us at 410-484-4110. We are, as I mentioned on the last webinar, we're totally inundated, so it doesn't matter. You can keep sending us questions. I'm sure, Heber, you're answering more than me, but yesterday I had 40 emails, phone calls to answer in my inbox, and
it doesn't stop. It keeps rolling in. Actually, this is a break. Thanks for the webinar, because we put the do not disturb on the phone and said, right. If I get a call, tell them I'm in a webinar.
We still have to keep the kashrus going. The plants, are still producing, and the meshkichim are still visiting, and everything.
I know. I had an issue in a factory. I had to speak to a company this morning, an important issue going on with a supplier of something. It's never ending.
So, but we do try to get to everybody. Okay, let's see some of these questions. Richard is asking, is one able to place the garbage from lunch on Shabbos and Shalashudas in your garbage can for Monday morning pickup? It's in your reshus.
Right. I mean, well, some garbage cans in Baltimore, the green garbage cans that we have, the city gave out, they say they're the owner of that garbage can. Some people, you're mafka kafir da'ara. It's really better. It's really better to any extra to flush down or give away to a guy. You really need planning. In other words, you try to plan as best as possible, and not everybody could. We have many machnisi arich, and as we emerge from Corona, it's a little bit easier. People have been vaccinated, then it's much easier to in a safe way be machnisi arich. You have people who invite people last minute. They don't know how many people they're going to have or are going to show up. So how much bread do they need? How much challah do they need? It's not so simple. So, but most people though know exactly who's going to be present at their sudas. And should plan accordingly that they don't have leftovers. If they do, crumble it up and flush it down the toilet. If if feasible.
I see. Okay. Let's take some other questions. Okay, there's a question here about davening. How are you going to daven on Shabbos morning and be able to do all this before in Baltimore 10:33?
Right. Okay. Well, this is the Shabbos of Hashkama Minyanim, and for those Rabbanim out there, it's the only time in the Jewish calendar that Rabbanim have off 2 Shabbos mornings from the drasha. the minig of Rabbanim, Rabbi Goldberg, you're a veteran Rav of San Jose, California. As you know, the minig, we give a Shabbos HaGadol drasha, which the minig this year was to give this past Shabbos in preparation. In fact, Rabbi Feinstein in the Drash Moshe, you see that he also darshaned on Zion Nisan on Shabbos in 1927. It's a very beautiful shtickle. So that was again Shabbos, first Shabbos HaGadol. So this past the minig Rabbanim don't darshan in the morning Shabbos HaGadol if they darshan in the afternoon. So this past Shabbos, I did not darshan Shabbos morning. I gave a Shabbos HaGadol drasha in the afternoon. I gave one to women and one a shir to women and a drasha to the men. And then this Shabbos, no Rav is going to give a drasha because everyone's rushing to get home. The minig is everybody davens early. We're going to daven. Our shul's going to daven 7:15. Some shuls will daven maybe 7. Maybe some will choose 7:30. Whatever it is, and that allows you to finish. Let's say davening by 9:15, 9:30. Actually, that's 9 o'clock, and then you're home by 9:15, 9:30. That gives you an hour to eat the Suda. Again, we'll talk about splitting in a second, but 9:30, you go ahead and you wash and you bench and you take care of whatever you need to take care of. The regular 8:30, let's say on a regular Shabbos we daven 8:30. There's just no makam to do that because if we daven 8:30 and we finish it even without a drasha, we're done 10:30. That's at the buzzer. There's no way you're going to be able to.
You need extra time, so you have to daven early. I made available. I hope that the listeners can see it. I think it might be on the top left of your screen. Shared files. So I have Rabbi Breuer, I mentioned before, his Erev Pesach Shabbos from 1950. I have, of course, Rabbi Heber's article. It's called Erev Shabbos Pesach, and that's printed also in the Starkey book and on our website. Then I have from Rabbi Haberfield. There's a nice summary of the halachos of the Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. And I also put up our whole Passover directory, our quick pick personal care, and our quick pick medicine list. These are, with this you can get by Pesach. This is what you need. That and some extra patience to make it through. So I hope everybody can see that. If you can see it, let me know because I've not usually done that. It should be available. Can anybody find what I shared with you? You can see it. Okay, so you can download it if you want from there. Okay. Okay. So what else, Rabbi Heber? What else do we have? We're coming down to the end of our webinar. What else is important?
Okay. So a couple other points here. One is Shal Shudas. Shal Shudas is an obvious problem. The zman that we paskin for Shal Shudas is Mincha Gedolah. Mincha Gedolah is a half hour after midday. That in Baltimore, that's 1:50 this time of year, 1:45. And anywhere it's going to be after Chatzais. So by definition, half hour after Chatzais based on length of the day. So anywhere it's going to be after number one, the zman of chametz. So you can't eat bread anymore. You can't eat matzah anymore because it's Erev Pesach. So you're stuck. How are you Yetz Shal Shudas? So I actually discussed this in my Shabbos HaGadol drasha this past Shabbos. That's obviously not taped. I elaborate a little bit on this in a shir I gave for women in my shul, which is available on Torah anytime. For those that want to see a little expansion of some of this discussion, a shir really on Erev Pesach Shabbos. That's on Torah anytime. You could search under speakers and you can find it. But we'll be makatzer here, and that is Shal Shudas you can't eat. So what do you do? So Chazal, the place can say eat minei targima after 1:45. You eat gefilte fish, kugel, and the like. Now, if you eat gebrux, you could even eat matzah kreilach, right? You can eat boiled matzah. You cannot eat baked matzah items. Matzah milk cake, no one can eat Erev Pesach the whole day, right? But boiled matzah, if you eat gebrux, you could eat for Shal Shudas until the 10th hour of the day, which in Baltimore is 4:18. Again, it's 3 hours before Shkia. This time of year, 3 hours is basically 3 hours, maybe 3 hours and 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because the day is pretty much equal, 6 to 12 hours. Bottom line is, till 3 hours, a little more than 3 hours before sunset, you could eat these knedlich. Otherwise, just eat filter fish, a piece of potato, etc. And with that, you are you're yaitz shal shudis, because there's no other real option. You can't even eat egg matzahs at that hour, because again, once this man of chametz comes, we don't eat egg matzahs. So you're stuck. Now, there are people that are going to talk about splitting the Suda in the morning. Okay, that the purpose of that is the opinion of the Ran is that you can eat shal shudis before you can eat. There's no time limit on shal shudis. We don't pass like that. We pass any Shabbos of the year after mincha gdoila, right? But today after mincha gdoila you can't wash. So at least to fulfill the opinion of the Ran, there's some people who wash an additional time in the morning, and therefore they make hamaitzi again to eat shal shudis, even though they're not really yaitze, but they're yaitze according to the Ran. To do that, you're going to have to split the meal. So what you're going to do is you're going to eat your first Suda, which is really second Suda of Shabbos. You ate Friday night, you ate Shabbos morning. You can come home until 9:30. You're going to quickly eat a Suda, and then you're going to bench at 9:45. Your Suda is going to be rolls, maybe some chopped liver with it, or filter fish. You're going to bench. Now it's 9:45. Now you need a hefsek. You can't go and wash 2 minutes later, because a brach shenet tzricha, you can't stop a meal and start a meal. Why just stop the meal for? It's a brach shenet tzricha, especially here where you're not yoitze, according to many opinions, shal shudis anyway. So it's truly a brach shenet tzricha. So let's say 9:45, you're done. 10:15, you're going to wash again and make hamaitzi. That's your shal shudis according to the Ran. And now you've been yaitz shal shudis, and then you'll have that suda. So some are like, it is a chumrah. We'll call it a chumrah. If you don't do it, it's fine. Even if you do the chumrah, it's important to know you got to eat shal shudis again later. You can't say, well, I ate shal shudis this morning. No, because you weren't really yaitz shal shudis. So again, after 1:50 p.m., mincha gdoila, you're going to eat, filter fish, etc. By the way, the 4:18 is if you miss that time, you could certainly eat your kugel or your filter fish to be yaitz shal shudis after that time. On Shvi Shal Pesach, you should wash before this man of this time, because it's again Shabbos going into Sunday and Yontif. So this will come up at the end of Yontif as well, where if you could break your Suda up, it has to be after this man. In other words, if you break your Suda up Shvi Shal Pesach, it has to be after this man of Mincha Gdoila, so be yaitz shal shudis, or you want to do it l'chatchila before whatever the time is at 4:15 at the end of Pesach, and then but the Evan you could eat all day. You could eat all day till sunset. You can eat shal shudis. You can wash if you have to. Talk about now on Shvi Shal Pesach, or now you kugel and get filter fish. I hope that was clear. I threw out a whole bunch of different things.
Well, we'll have the recording of Heber. We can we can review it. I want to offer anybody who wants to ask a question, a video question. We can put you up here on the video to see, and we can hear the question live. If anybody wants to do that, just type in a message here, and if you have a webcam, which I assume everybody does, then we can put you up to hear your question live. Is there anything else, Rabbi Heber? We have to come to the end pretty soon.
Okay, just to end the last thing, I say Shabbos, of course. Women, although some women don't normally say Baruch Hamavda, they wait for their husbands to come home from shul. But here you have to say Baruch Hamavda Kodesh L'Kodesh to start preparing for Yontif, and then you bench licht at some point, and of course Yakna has Kiddush, Yan Kiddush Avdallah Der Etzman, which is the order that we say on Motzei Shabbos. And the one difference in the Haggadah, according to most opinions, is the normal order in the bracha we make as we pick up the second kais at the end of Magid. We normally say Min Azvachim Min Apsachim, which is a reference to the Karban Chagiga that we ate first, and then we ate the Karban Pesach Al Soiva full. But when it's Motzei Shabbos, those who learn Taf Yomi know that there you ate the Karban Pesach without the Chagiga. Chagiga wasn't brought when it was Shabbos. It couldn't be brought on Shabbos, so then you really ate the Karban Pesach without the Chagiga. Therefore, then we say, in such a case, we say Min Apsachim and Min Azvachim. So there's a little bit of order, and that's the reason why you have that order change.
We should have said that's there, right? That's the question, right? We should have said that.
Beautiful bracha that we make that Mashiach should come so that next year we're actually eating. Some say no. Why do that? Next year you're not going to have it. Next year will be the right order. Actually, next year, what's the Shabbos second night? Sheni will be on Motzei Shabbos. But again, this according to the calendar. So for those watching Rabbi Goldberg's series in future years, whether it's 2025, 2045, 2048, 2052, 2072. Whether Makash al Pi Re'ir al Pi Cheshbon, we should take a mizaycha to be eating either min azvachim and apsachim and azvachim, depending on what day Pesach falls out in those years.
Yeah, if the Starcase still has webinars in 2072, it's not going to be me.
Rabbi Goldberg, it's a lifetime. I may have asked him. It's a lifetime position.
Okay. Okay, I think we covered most of the questions. Is there anything else that you want to end with?
Just to wish everybody a Chakoshev Sameach. May we zeicha to L'Shana Haba B'Shalayim that we're mispalel. We say L'Shana Haba B'Shalayim at the end of the Seder, at the end of the Ila, because some say Mashiach will come in Nisan, some say in Tishrei. So we sing all the time L'Shana Haba at weddings, and which is beautiful. But the two times it's part of the Nusach, once in Tishrei, once in Nisan, because Mashiach will come either Nisan Nigalu, B'Tishrei Nigalu, and therefore we should not be Zaycha, whether it's B'Tishrei or B'Nisan, should be this Nisan, we should not be Zaycha to Glami to Meher B'Yameinu, Amen.
Amen, amen. We should be Zaycha to make those brachas on the Pesachim.
Amen.
Amen. So Lechol Min HaPesach. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. I hope you were able to download those files that are put up for your reference. And again, if you have any further questions, you can email us at info@star-k.org or call us 410-484-4110. If you provided your email address, which you need to do, you'll be added to a list to find out about upcoming webinars. If you're not interested in them, you can unsubscribe yourself. And we hope that you'll join us. We usually have these webinars the last Wednesday of the month at noon. Next week, there is no webinar for L'Chavid Chol HaMoed, so that everybody who's people are away, people are busy. So we're not going to have one next week, but the Mitzvah Hashem next month. Thanks very much. Wishing everyone a Chag Kosher V'Sameach. Take care. Bye bye.